I ran up a check, I might do it again. Enemies close, had me thinking they're friends. 10 toes down, I'll be free until the end. Crib outside the city, I don't feel safe in my hands. Took so many years, I'm just waiting for the wins. I'm in debt to no one but the one who took my sins. I do it for real, there's no reason to pretend. If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Add it up. Told her if it's all me, everything is on me. Gon' back it up. Matter what? Told you I'ma do me. Why you hating on me? It's not adding up. I do roll like a Mack truck. Country heart, I might cop a farm and go act up. Lot of scars, I was cold-hearted, now I'm back up. Keep it real, I do this once a month, I don't rap much. I just take the money and go stack up. Only buying car to get tatted up. All that other bull, it don't matter much. You only climb me, I put the ladders up. No fault, I done doubled up on the workload. I think I fell in love with the bankroll. Pray up, get money, then we lay low. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Add it up, bankroll, euro.
Mic check. 1, 2, 1,
1, 2.
Ladies and
Yes,
gentlemen,
sir.
welcome to Team No Sleep. Was it October 14th? Man, October is flying by. It's a good month because it's birthday month for me. So I'm always in love with October.
Oh man, you taking your trip around the sun? You taking your trip around the sun this week?
Again,
Good.
yes, sir. I'd have took a whole bunch of them. So like, I'm not gonna get into the numbers, but you see all this salt in the beard right here. So your boy been around a couple of times. How you living, man? You all right?
Blessed, man. 10 toes down, 6 feet above. I'm always blessed when it's like that.
I
So
love
we
that.
good.
I love that statement. I see some folks chiming in the comments. Laura Williams is in the building. Oh, the show can officially start now. We got Senior in the building. See, I told him we were going to get into the conversation tonight. We was going to go ahead and talk some things. So
he's waiting on this one. Then okay,
that is sitting in his chair with a little something as well. Just ready to have this conversation. And
all right.
We're not going to delay anymore. Listen, folks, let's go ahead and get focused. Montel and I have some things to talk about. Team No Sleep, as you know, we talk about the social impact of sport. We dive into the week's most pressing issues around sport, around the business of sport, and how it relates from a societal perspective. A lot of things happening right now. Not just the games that are happening right now. So let me look at these Buccaneers. Your boy Brady is doing what he needs to do for sure. But my Giants is getting ready to come on in a little while. So I know folks are going to be multitasking, listening to us and watching the game. So we'll be cognizant and aware of that. But, without any further ado, well, we got some folks in the comments. Appreciate you coming through. See, that's probably some folks coming from the community of the man we got behind the scenes. So
yes, sir.
Without further ado, let me bring on the man of the hour. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to call him Doctor. I'm going to call him Dr. Charles Jackson II.
Hey, I always got to salute the doc. There
yes,
you go.
Yes, sir. How you doing, brother?
The military salute. You start saluting.
Yes,
I'm going to throw that knife hand in there because the Marine Corps taught me well.
That's right.
Yeah, there you go. I'm with it.
What's going on, gentlemen? I am honored. I'm pumped. I'm excited to be here.
Man, look, you looking crispy too, boy. Goodness gracious. He's got canvases in the back with his name on them. He's got the studio looking right. I mean, the man is a professional. Let's talk a little bit about Charles Jackson. Who is this man that we got in this big old screen, just looking nice? And hold on. You see, first of all, give me some props because I could have worn another hat, but I'm representing.
Shout out to my man James Hicks for representing Team Jackson tonight with the merchandise. Man, that hat looks good on you. Look here, you are a team player. Team. No sleep. You exude team support all the way around. And you're right, you could have picked any team, your favorite team, but you're rocking with your guest tonight in that merchandise. So I appreciate that, man. So shout out to you.
I
But
appreciate you,
for
brother.
those on your platform who don't know me, I'm Charles Jackson. I lead a media consultancy, Charles Jackson Media. What we do, we talk leadership, tech, and culture. We use media to help folks connect across social divides. So I host a popular show called Race Talks Uncut, where we sit down and we talk about race relations, connecting across differences, and really how to get out of our own bias, prejudice, debilitating thoughts about various race and religions and genders, to be able to connect with folks on a human level. Because I believe that if we can do so, if we can connect on a human level, understanding that there's just one race and that's the human race, we're all going to be better off. Our teams, our communities, our families, and our organizations. And so tonight, I actually get to do something that I really I'm excited about, because I get to combine my passion for sports and sort of inclusion and diversity and merge it together for at least part of this segment, which you invited me on for. So I'm pumped to be here. I am a fan of this show. So now to be on the show is a real honor, man. So thank you for having me.
Love it, love it. Appreciate you,
Yeah.
brother. We will definitely show your website and some of your credentials and some of your social platforms before we conclude. But Rich Vibes, we see you in the building. Appreciate you for joining as well. Let's go ahead and get focused. Let's go ahead and get into it. Montel, I know you itching. You want to talk about what's going. We're going to go down the line. We're going to talk the social impact story first, and we're going to talk about football. We're going to talk about what's been happening in Las Vegas. We're going to talk about Jon Gruden. We're going to talk about what has happened with this gentleman in terms of him no longer having a job. And the fact that he no longer has a job, why? Because he resigned, not because he was fired. So I want to go down that path as well. But for folks who don't know the story, Jon Gruden, who was the coach for the Las Vegas Raiders, has been in the past making a lot of derogatory remarks, racist remarks, misogynistic remarks, homophobic remarks in email to a lot of his circle of friends, right? It's a fraternity within sport. It's a fraternity within football that we want to talk about as well. But some of his close allies, he's been having statements for a number of years, over a decade, maybe even longer than that. But now he's gotten caught, and he's made some cruel statements about, again, some minorities, either based on black folks, or some homophobic types of statements, some misogynistic statements about the female referees and things like that. So, and now he's gotten caught. He decided to not be a distraction to the organization and to the league and to the players, and has resigned from his duties. Let's go into that, and let's break it down. Let's peel the onion back a little bit. But let me start with the guest, Mr. Jackson. What are your thoughts when you first heard about this story and how it relates to, from a social impact perspective, not just forget the sport, forget the game.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about these messages that were coming out from a supposed leader, right? And how this looks for the folks that are following in his footsteps, right? Because again, you think 70 to 80% of his team or the league are quote unquote minorities. So there's a problem with that. Talk to us a little bit about your thoughts on this.
Yeah. A lot of times folks close to him get asked, how you feel about it. And they usually say they're, surprised or shocked. I will say that I wasn't surprised and I wasn't shocked, because I understand this, that for years, 400 years or more, right? Blacks, African Americans have had to live under this notion that we are inferior to whites, right? And so whites have held these beliefs about blacks and African Americans based on this notion that they are superior to us. So all of the beliefs that they have, it's only going to dictate and determine their actions. What happened with Jon is he is who he is. He has the beliefs that he has. He's had them for a while, forever how long, because generationally, year after year after year, this notion that blacks are inferior to whites, it's going to bring these connotations like we're we're lazy, all of these negative terms, right? We're loud, we have big lips. You go down through history, we've been called beastly criminals, because our women slept with monkeys. And so that stuff is in a lot of, unfortunately, inside a great deal of white people in this country.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why I wasn't surprised, because your title, your position, from the highest position in this country to the lowest, doesn't change those beliefs that you have on the inside of you. You can cover them up, you can tiptoe around them. But like you said in the opening, when you set the stage for this, within his circles, he would have those conversations and go back and forth with certain language and, the misogynistic attitude and the racist remarks and the homophobic remarks within his circles.
Right.
But he's always felt like that. And so when it comes out to me, I'm not surprised, because I understand what we are up against as a whole. But what does it do for society?
Wow.
But when we see our leaders, when we see it come out from a person who has a certain platform, to me, it's more damaging, because you begin to see just how deep it runs, just how high up it runs, and you see what you're really up against. James, we're not just up against our neighbor that has a problem with me.
Right.
We're up against systems. And so that's what it brings me back to, these systems that we're up against, based on this belief that blacks are inferior to whites. And so that was my initial thought. I wasn't surprised by it at all.
So
I was more concerned with those that are going to be affected by it on his team that he was supposed to be leading.
that's where I want to get into right as well. And then Montel, we're going to definitely let you chip in as well. But just the fact that, again, the whole National Football League, the whole system is it is a buddy type of thing. And the same folks are moved from team to team. Montel and I have talked about how come there haven't been any real opportunities for new coaches to come in to show some different looks. How come Black folks haven't been given the opportunities? How come women haven't been given more opportunities and things of that nature? Why? Because, again, it's that tight knit, good old boy type of environment. And it's not just us talking about it right now, folks. It's not just three black guys talking about it. It's out in the public. It's out in documented emails of the situation that's been going on for decades. And it's not just Jon Gruden. It's not. I tell you what. I'm not gonna name any names, but that coach out there in Texas, I got a feeling he may have said a few things once in a while. Again, I'm not gonna name any names. I don't want to make any assumptions, but again, just thinking about it. See, y'all put that where you want to, but again, you think about this, right? And again, the majority of their staff, the folks that they're paying multi-millions of dollars, doesn't look like them, looks like the three of us. And yet still to say all these derogatory statements and for it to be accepted, it had to be accepted, right? For it to go on for so long. That's the issue with the system. And how do we go about maybe addressing that, changing that? I can't look at everyone's emails, right? We can't out everyone, right? But do we make a statement out of Gruden? Do we lay down some new policies and new procedures, some new efficacy training, right? We've always hear about efficacy training in the enterprise corporate world, right? How to get along with people and how to understand people. Do we do something of that nature? Montel, talk to us a little bit about your thoughts about when you saw this and what your thoughts were as well.
Well, I mean, initially when I saw it, I thought it was an email from back, like they said, 2011, something over a decade ago. And it was just the one email, which was, the derogatory comments. At that point, I was like, it's not really a big deal. I'm probably sure I said some inappropriate things 10 years ago as well. Maybe not in an email, but I definitely had it because I wasn't educated enough on doing it. So I didn't really pay no attention to it at first. But to find out that it's been going on since from 2007, I think they said 2007, all the way to 2018.
Yes.
That these emails have been going back and forth. That sheds a different kind of light, and it changes the narrative drastically. To have those, like you said, it's a privileged thing amongst them. That little group that they were emailing, and that was a privileged thing. So they felt that they can speak derogatory about anyone and anyone in their that's not within their circle, and use any inappropriate language they wanted. To me, that long shows a pattern, a very bad pattern. So that means to tell me right now, they're playing the chameleon role. Hey, I'm nice in your face, but behind your back, I can do all these damaging things to you,
Yeah.
not only with me, but I'm doing it with my corporate friends because the emails were the founder of Hooters or the owner of Hooters.
Right.
The other person on the email was another GM for the Washington Redskins, which we'll get on him as well. He did some bad things as well, but I mean, these guys are people that are in this industry, a lot of influential, a lot of money, and the fact that they have this little circle of guys that are saying these things and doing these things, it's that closet racism. It's that closet racism, that typical one that we've endured, our people have endured for so long, and my generation and my son and his kids' generation have been enduring for so long. It's those people that smile in your face and stab you in the back. Period.
Yeah.
It's just it's that mechanism. So I'm really disappointed in Jon Gruden because I would feel that since he's been working with African Americans for so long, been in the position of power for so long, leading these young men in a sport that they love, representing a team, the Raiders, that's based the birth in Oakland, the birthright of the Black Panthers, such a rich history of African American, African American history and revolution and protests and pride. You represented that kind of team and that kind of organization, and yet you've been doing this the whole time.
Yeah. So
it's damaging. I mean, I think it's not only it's damaging, but it's disappointing.
Yeah.
Because now the ones we thought we could trust, we can't.
So what's interesting, and I don't want to gloss over this as well because it's come out now, obviously because we got the receipts, right? we got the emails, but all his ex-players are coming out. All of the folks that were around him, even his current players, Derek Carr, saying, "Hey man, Gruden was kind of crazy." Keyshawn went deep in on him. Right, there's been a lot of players that say, "Yeah, I knew Gruden wasn't about nothing good back in the day." Why was that not heard then, as opposed to again wait until you get caught and then it comes out in the news and then everyone has to posterize and say, oh yeah, I knew this 20 years ago that he wasn't no good. Now, y'all just finding out about this. That's a question. So that's a question. And then let me ask you about this because I don't just want to leave it at the black conversation because I've got this part highlighted right here. Gruden's behavior was not limited to 2011. Gruden exchanged emails with Allen and other men that included photos of women wearing only bikini bottoms, including one photo of two Washington team cheerleaders. So this man has a pattern of just being out of step, out of line, out of touch, right, with proper behavior, and that needs to be addressed in some kind of way, as opposed to just him resigning. I can't see him just getting off that easy. He's never going to work in the NFL again. I doubt anyone will ever give him a job. But
I don't know, man. I mean, we keep saying that, and that's the rich. That's one of the richest white men's clubs there is. Wow, that's 30 billionaires.
I'm gonna let y'all debate that. Y'all talk a little bit about that because again, I threw that little stick of dynamite out there. I don't think he'll ever get another job. Y'all talk about that.
I don't know, man. That's 30 billionaires is working right. That if they feel the same way he's doing, or if they're in that circle, why would he not have another job? I don't think he'll be a coach or a public figure in the NFL, but don't think he won't be. Hey, I'm gonna be a spokesman for the NFL and tell how wrong I was about being misogynistic and saying these things, and I want to represent the NFL and go out and talk and represent the NFL and talk. They will find a way to keep paying him if they want to pay him. It'll be just it'll be that apology tour that they do and go address people. His behavior to me, like I said, is more disappointing because if I was an athlete, I would be like, man, I can't believe this guy was all that way. The only person that's documented saying something is Keyshawn Johnson. Keyshawn Johnson's been saying this one since day one. This dude, there's something wrong with this dude. This guy, he didn't quite say he was a racist. He didn't quite say that he was doing all these things, but he felt that there was always something wrong, that he was always like somewhat of a backstabbing coach. Like I said, smile in your face and talk behind your back. It's now, like you said, we have the receipts. It's documented now what he does. Not only does he do that, but now he goes beyond that behavior by making crude comments, doing crude things, saying, sending inappropriate materials over email. But he's just the first stone to turn over. All those dudes on them emails, man, they're the same. They're in the same circle in the same way. I'm baffled, man. Almost, that he would get himself in that situation, And my thing is, the NFL, granted he wasn't working for the NFL at the time, but the fact that the NFL didn't do enough research on this person or do enough intel on before they hired him or got him in the circle, they didn't know that some of this stuff was going on. I can't say they won't find out everything, but they should have known that some of this stuff and some of this behavior going on. I just say, man, it's white privilege, man. Bottom line, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's so, I mean, there's a couple things because one, we have to understand, and this is what I firmly believe, and you both have alluded to it since you've been talking. There is a thing in this country, right, that we are up against. If you are not a middle-aged white male, you are up against this notion that you are the lesser than. That's why there was a women's suffrage movement. That's why there was a, Black Lives Matter movement. That's why there is a LGBTQ movement, because typically this country has been ran and dominated by that middle-aged white male. And they do all that they can to hold on to that power and that wealth and that prominent place in this country. And so if you are anybody outside of that circle, if you step wrong, you can become subject to their ways, their hate speech, their acts. It's lynching of blacks, it's assassination of Abraham Lincoln. You get on the wrong side, it's like you're out of here, right?
Yeah.
And so they want to hold on to that. They just happen to be the owners of sport teams. They happen to be in the political positions they are. They happen to be police officers and people in authority and judges. They happen to be in those spaces where they legally do have a lot of power and authority, but because they're harboring racist beliefs and misogynistic beliefs and homophobic beliefs and ideas, it's ultimately gonna come out. And James, you said something so critical. It wasn't something that happened overnight. So why wasn't he checked? So now you're speaking to the character narrative of the person. And those guys and those individuals, they have people around them. They only keep people around them who think like them, believe what they believe, and are going to help them keep that power and that wealth, and would accept their jokes, would accept them groping a woman, right? And nobody not file a complaint and say, hey, man, you're wrong for the way you just smacked the waitress on the butt. Like they run in those circles. And everybody else, to me, is trying to break into it. Even white women, if you go back through history, they were down there in the bottom of the barrel trying to get rights just like we were at one time, right? And so that's what I see playing out. I don't think, though, in 2021, with the civil unrest and awakening that has taken place, he will be able to sit across from some parent at a college or a university and convince them to go and play for a school that he is coaching at. I think that cancel culture is way too strong now. I think personally, for him to get back into it. It's real strong right now. We see what happened to the baby, and he a brother. Like, he gonna be working to come back.
There you go.
But about my comment would be that is where I see a little gray area is that he may not be able to recruit me or my family in that situation, but he could recruit someone that believes just like him, a dad of a kid that thinks just like him.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say it, they can hit me, a Trump supporter.
I was going to say that. I think to January 6th of what happened at the Capitol building, that type of support.
Those type of supporters, those kind of people, they have kids, they play football.
That's fair.
They like football. He will be able to be attractive to them. Like I said, Gruden's just behavior has just been an ignored pattern behavior.
Yeah.
And now he,
narrative.
very, very character flawed and very privileged. He's been able to say these things for so many years and get away with it, but he's been able to sit in that circle. But it was interesting. I was watching, I forgot, I don't want to even name them, but one of the TV shows, Keyshawn Johnson was talking about it. And he was just saying he displayed tidbits of that character at when they were playing for Tampa Bay. Like he said,
2002.
He would say he would say some things, and as soon as a person would leave, he would talk behind their back and say a slick comment to him, whether it was a racial comment. Now he didn't say a racial comment, but rather just a derogatory comment about somebody. And he said he saw it more than once. And now that these emails and all this come out, it was just a known behavior. I could tell me right now, when it was just one email, I was like, maybe it's just he just used poor language in describing somebody, and it was just that one incident. He said something that was crazy.
Right.
And when it's talking about somebody, but to find out, man, this, like I said, it's happened over 10 years.
It's
like,
repetitive and,
this is you.
and it's conscious, right? Because he's using, and folks, I'll put the link to this particular story in the New York Times. He's consciously using his personal email account to send this. So he knows kind of better than to use his corporate, either wherever he was in Vegas or Washington with or Tampa Bay. I mean, with the Bucks, to not use that email address to spew all this madness. Like the screen right here that I got on right now, because Montel, you were talking about maybe his political beliefs. Criticized Obama back in 2012 during the re-election. So it's just a pattern that has festered in this particular man, who, quite honestly, isn't the biggest fish in the pond when it comes to this framework of an organization, the NFL. Right? Only reason he's making any noise now is because his team started out at 3-0. Right? But Gruden, true. What? Right? He was an analyst. He won a ring. He's old school.
Man, his football. His football career was garbage. Guy's never done nothing.
But again, so there's the point right there. Right? He's not a Jerry Jones. Right? No. He's not someone like a John Elway. He's not one of the bigger names within the organization. This is guy. He's on the B team, and he's being allowed to say all of this just crass stuff and get away with it for decades.
But
but nobody's going to do anything though, man. Yeah, you remember the Clippers owner, Sterling. Like, who's going to challenge them? This is the reality of it. The reality is, that's how they feel. Like, who's going to challenge them? Their power, their wealth, and their status.
I want to get to some of these comments, and I appreciate this comment from JP. How you living, brother? He said, I would leave Trump out of the conversation. This is way bigger than that, regardless of political affiliation. I agree with that, but again, that's a part of the story as well, which is the reason why I brought it up, because Gruden actually sent that email about Obama and Biden back in the day. But again, it just speaks to, like Charles was saying, the character of this man and the fact that he'll talk about any and everyone who isn't him. That just doesn't look like him. I think anyone that isn't him. So, but appreciate that comment there.
But that comment from JP though, so this is what we have to consider. Do y'all remember one of the speeches that Trump gave? It might have been an Independence Day speech. He went to Mount Rushmore and he was giving this speech, and I listened to the whole thing, and I listened to it 10 times. And he kept saying, "This is our country, and they are trying to take it from us. We have to stand up against them. It's us against them." Trump was releasing rhetoric out his mouth that wasn't doing anything but dividing the nation. And who was they and who was the we? He was talking about all of the protesting that was taking place after George Floyd and everything that was surrounding the Black Lives Movement. And his Independence Day speech was all about, this is our country, and they're trying to destroy it, and they're trying to overrun it, and we got to fight against, it's us against them. This is what he was saying. So that's why that same language that he's using, it stems from the same thing that will allow Gruden to speak the way he was speaking on his emails. Belief drives behavior. I don't care who you are. It's not about a political affiliation. It's not about him being an NFL coach. It's about him being a person with beliefs about another race or another person that dictate how he's going to talk to them, how he's going to handle them, and how he's going to deal with them. I don't care if he's the president. I don't care if you're whoever. That does not matter. You're a person, and what you're saying and what you're doing comes from bad, debilitating beliefs about another individual. Oh, but by the way, you are in a place of power, which means the decisions that you make for this particular group of people is going to be less than favorable for the decisions that you make for another group of people, because you have those beliefs. That's why we have to have these conversations. It's not about politics.
Man, that's so spot on. Bravo for that one. I give you a hand clap. And I want to just point out one other part, James, what you were saying about the players, how the players felt and everything like that. Again, I was listening to Keyshawn's interview, and he was saying, remember, he controls your destiny within the organization and your money. Basically, he controls your money because he can waive you at any time as a player. He doesn't like whether you're a starter, whoever you are. So you got to make sure you walk that fine line and look at the people that he's dealing with. Okay, Keyshawn, what he dealt, Keyshawn, he dealt with it late in his career, 20, 27, 28, 29, a little bit older, a little bit more mature. When you're dealing with kids that are 22, just coming in the league, 24, 25, right when they're about to get their second contract, their big contract, they're not going to do anything to mess up their money. He can call them anything under the book, and they're just going to ignore it, and that's why no comments are going to come out. Okay. No one's going to say anything about it in previews because he's a person in power and control of their career at that point. Yeah. So they got to be. They choose to be quiet. It was just like he said, the Clipper situation. Donald Sterling. Those players seen him do crazy things. They chose not to say something because he's signing those checks, and he has enough control to say, "I'm going to cut you from this team."
Yeah.
Now the superstar, he can get away with maybe saying a few things not here and there, but I'm sure they're smart enough not to say many things around the superstar. They don't comment around him about that, but they'll say little comments about all the other players that they know they have a stronghold control over. And you won't say nothing. You will ignore it. You either choose to ignore it or you just put it in your memory bank and just say, man, I got to just keep it moving. That's just, and we do that even in corporate world.
Yeah,
that's just a world thing.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but that is true. Yeah. That is true. So let me ask you guys this, and especially glad that we've got Charles here on the show for this statement. How do we get better? Right? How does such an influential organization like the NFL? Because look, there was a time a few years ago where, and you remember this, we said we were going to boycott the whole NFL, right? We folks said that we were going to do that. We weren't going to watch any games. It was I don't even think it was the Kaepernick situation. I think there were some other issues that were going on. And folks said, I think it was the concussion protocols. But that lasted for all of probably 2 weeks. This is way beyond that. This is way more critical and way more important. That how do we, as a society, get better? Let's go and armchair quarterback this, right? How do we make the NFL better and get rid of this stain? Is it wiping the slate? If we had the canvas that we can just start over with and say, we're gonna correct this, we're gonna fix this, we're gonna try to do better. How does the NFL rise above this particular situation? Because this is going to be a conversation for a long time. I don't think anyone is going to go as deep as we are on this, but this is a conversation that is going to keep festering if that conversation doesn't happen. Charles, give your thoughts on this, man.
My response is always the same to that question, James. Unless we all, that means you, me, brother to the left or right, my neighbor, all of us, we're all global citizens. The globe is our community, right? So unless we, global citizens, change our debilitating beliefs, behaviors, and practices, this chaos is going to continue in every facet of our lives. Like each one of us have to examine ourselves. We have to examine our behavior. We have to examine our belief. We have to examine our biases that we've allowed to either just go unchecked, or we've ignored, or we've tried to suppress, or we've just chucked up to that's just the reality of it. We have to start checking it within ourselves, within our families, within our communities, within our spheres of influence. And then we have to start locking arms with one another to say, hey, it's going to take all of us. Like I'll get that picture of the NBA players, before a game, they would lock arms, do national anthem. Like literally, that's what it's going to take, each and every one of us examining ourselves on both sides of this thing, or all sides of it. When it comes to the NFL, this is their problem to me. So you look at who runs the NFL, you look at the owners, you look at the high up, right? You look at those boxes, you see who's in those boxes, and you see us little players, and this might not be a popular opinion. What's his name? The black sports agent. He said that sports to the African-American community is our biggest commodity. Like for oil, it's Arabs. And he was saying for Japanese, it's tech. He said for black people, it's sports. So because that notion is there, sports becomes a thing that we look to get out of, impoverished situations or build wealth or whatever. But we don't own anything within that context. We still get bought, sold, and traded by these white men who are making bigger bank than we are. So when things go down, like Colin Kaepernick taking the knee, they did not like that and they crucified him. But then George Floyd happens, the civil unrest, riots, everything breaks out across the world. Players in this generation say, wait a minute, this affects us too. And then now their hand is forced, and you see in the community, we stand together in the end zones and all of that. And you wonder how long that's going to last. I'm saying all this to say when it comes to the NFL, unless there's more diversity in leadership and ownership, more diversity when it comes to the thought behind the policies and practices and approach to the game in terms of inclusion and diversity, the same thing will continue. If everybody in the room looks the same at the high level making decisions, things will stay the same. And what they'll do, they'll just pacify situations year by year, event by event to please the people. But there won't be any lasting, meaningful change because we can't get but so high up within these organizations.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
like my pastor used to say, that's making it plain right there, boy, because that's the unfortunate truth about that. Go ahead, Martel. I want to.
No, I'm gonna echo those same things. I believe it. You know, you got to start at the head and with leadership and with ownership. And we talked about this on the show before. There's 30 owners. There's only one that's a minority, and I don't even think he has say. So I'm not quite sure where his say is. He's in Jacksonville, so he's in the smallest market of all of them, as far as it comes with the ownership concerned. Those are 29 white males, older white males, or family wealth white males that own it. They want to run it the way they want, and it's a good old boys club when it gets to that higher level. They think the same way. They go the same way. And we talked about the NFL, how these things go. They mask everything. We remember not too long ago, the New England Patriots owner was in a
man. You want to talk about? Go ahead, brother. Yeah, because he was caught up, right?
He was caught on
they had
film.
Video.
Caught on film. Caught it being in the massage parlor that was deemed as you know what I'm talking about. Whatever those houses.
Yeah, he tried to do the Eddie Murphy. Wasn't me. No. There was video of you, Brother Kraft.
So he was in there. He was in there. What happened? We don't even hear about it. Matter of fact, he didn't do no jail time. No, nothing. I don't even think he was fined. I think they just wiped it under the rug somehow. You're dealing with billionaires that they think they can make their own laws in their own ways, and in order to make it better, that has to change. I think, but it doesn't start there. It starts off with the NFLPA. The Players Association, they need to start changing their ways. They always formulate to the owners because they want to get the maximized dollars. But the owners are smart enough to say, okay, well, you want more money, you're gonna do more what we want you to do and not what you're supposed to be doing, or even what's the right thing to do. The mighty dollar is controlling the NFLPA, and it controls those people, the few voices that we have that have some power in there within the NFLPA situation. It has to be a whole reform or restructure. Like the doctor was saying, we got to educate one. It's got to be more diversity in there, but it just can't be diversity talk. It needs to be diversity in ownership and in leadership positions. We have to see someone that looks like us, that thinks best on our behalf, and we be able to articulate and share it to the masses, so we can come to a collective idea for what's best for them and what's best for us. We come to a medium, and now everybody's working in kumbaya. Now it's starting to get better. Things will change. Things will go. And I hate, like you said, they pacify us. Hate to say it, but the NFL Super Bowl halftime, they're pacifying us by now bringing hip hop there, and now bringing Snoop and Dre and them there to kind of just corner the masses and say, hey, we want an indirect way to apologize to black people before we did the kind of Kaepernick and kneeling. Or we'll give them this hip hop thing and give them a epic show like that, and now they'll be all kumbaya. Now they'll be on board with the NFL again.
Hit him with it, brother.
Man.
No,
I'm off the plane. I'm not off the boat. I didn't come off the boat. I'm off the plane.
Yeah.
You can't. Yeah. You're not gonna blind me by that. But I understand it. I do understand it. But it's got to be changed at the top before there's gonna be any change at the bottom.
That's true.
That's just the bottom line. And I don't foresee there's gonna be any change at the top. Well, owners are not giving up anything.
So let me interject with two things, and then we'll move on to the next topic. I know that Jay-Z is in conversations with some other folks to possibly acquire the Broncos, and I wonder if he's the right person. Right, he's got influence from an entertainment perspective, and he's got influence, right? Billionaire, so he's got the cash. But is he the one that we need to be at that conference room table to help correct the directive and help correct the dialogue that's happened all these years? I'll ask that question. And then I want to bring up this question here, or this statement from Tony Davis. Appreciate you being in the comments, brother. We go through this every decade with sportscasters calling us monkeys on national TV. Now it is coach, GM. You had an owner doing the same thing that Deshaun Jackson did, but who gets penalized? The black athletes. That is so very true. Appreciate that statement, man. So before we move on, talk to me. What do you think? So if we get Jay-Z in that room, sit next to Jerry Jones, does
You
that
want my
help?
opinion first? You want me to go first, Doc? You want me to go first, or you go first? I'll
Go
go.
ahead,
No,
bro.
he's not the right person. No, he's not the right person. Hell no.
Hey,
I
Charles,
mean, don't get me wrong.
I told you I was going to instigate, didn't I? I told you I just be throwing salt in the wounds. Boy,
If he's the only one that can get in the door, if he's the
Wow.
one that's giving the keys
There
to
we
the
go.
door, then go ahead and take it. But
Okay.
if you're saying who's the right person,
Mm.
no, because Jay-Z, he's an entertainer. I think he does have some. I'm sure he's very professional. He's very adverse to what's going on. But those are 100 years of back rooms with those golden boys back there. And to be able to you got to be able to have some very negotiable skills and some very other talented people around you to get your point across. I don't think Jay-Z's that person. His billion is nothing to Arthur Kraft's 10 billion. You know, he holds nothing to them. So his opinion is gonna be like the guy in Jacksonville. It's non-void.
Yeah.
Only thing he has is I'm Jay-Z, I'm a rapper. Do you let's be candid, since we all in this room and we talking, you really think they respect Jay-Z? Let's be honest. You really they respect his hustle on marrying Beyonce and making $1 million, but do you really think they will respect his opinion?
I will definitely say that he would not be honestly welcomed at the table, even if he had a seat at the table. And again, it's just the nature of the beast. It needs to change. It needs to happen. It's going to take a long time. It's been a long time. I agree with you that he's probably not the right person. I don't know who is. I don't know if it's Michael, if it's Jay-Z, if it's Magic. I don't know who it is. I don't know if it's President Obama that needs to come in there and gather. I don't know who it is and who the collaborative effort is to go in there and do it. Jay-Z by himself isn't the one to speak for all of us, in my mind. So, and Mrs. Jackson,
James, you need to buy a team.
yeah,
James.
I got kids in college. Right now my money is going down to UCLA, so I can't buy nobody's team. But Miss Jackson was laughing too. So shout
Look, we don't need money in the room.
Uh-oh. Talk on this. Go ahead. Where you going? I see where you're going.
The problem is it takes money to get in the room.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
We need insight, intentionality, and introspective people inside these rooms who are almost coming from a humanitarian standpoint, where they see the hurt, they see the pain, they see the injustice, they see the barrage of white supremacy and white power that's being grasped by those men, and go in there with some strategy on how to loosen that grip, first of all, on more ownership and more head coaches and diversity, and even women. Like, shout out to Maya Shaka, first African-American referee. Like, in order for that to happen, that tight hold that they have has to be broken. And it's not just money that we need people to come in with. We need people to come in that can actually have some emotional intelligence, to be able to have the conversations in the right way, to be able to reach people who have some deep rooted beliefs. Like, that takes some skills. That takes somebody like that's hard, man. We can't throw money at them and be like, hey.
See, Dr. Jackson, I'm gonna go with you. You going the Martin Luther King way. I'm gonna go to Malcolm X way.
You gonna go to Malcolm X way?
I'm going to Malcolm X way. The money's the key to get in.
Yeah. No,
the money's the key to get in, and I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree. We got to have someone that's got more of a stronghold on what's going on and be able to understand and all that. But for us to even get in the door, matter of fact, even get in the building to the security, the key is money. So we have to have that person or those persons with enough money to be able to go in there and go. Now, one thing I also want to take, it's not just color's one of the issues, but it's also we got a big generational gap. All those guys are old white owners, except for maybe I think for Mark Davis is probably the youngest out of everybody, and he's in his 50s. So if Mark Davis is the youngest owner, we have a big generational gap. They're big time on understanding it and letting people in how it goes. They've been very good in keeping it, keeping the money within families and keeping it going to that generational wealth and keeping it within generations. That part, I don't know how we break. I do. You know, the art models, the crafts family, and so on and so on. There's where I think our piece for NFL is expansion. That's where I think we can get in, and that's where people of color are going to be able to get in and go. And I think that's something that hopefully as a society, if we really want to make an impact and be a part of that game, that's what I would hope Jay-Z and these other investors push that. Let us get into the expansion game, because now that organization that we start from ground roots and we're the first owners, that's generational for us now.
Yeah.
It's not formerly owned by no generation for us. So that's kind of where my thought is with that. Sorry about that.
Sorry, brother. Speaking of generation, though, this generation is they're consumer conscious. They want to know who's behind these products. They want to know where their money is going. They want to know your beliefs. It's no longer just spending money and exchanging money and entertainment.
Yeah.
They stand for purposeful causes and people who, like you say, that character narrative. Jay-Z and Beyonce doing a campaign with Tiffany, the jewelry company.
Yeah.
And Beyonce took a picture with the diamond on, right? That only like 4 women have worn. There was backlash from that. You're like, it's a blood diamond. You're like, well, gosh. But this is supposed to be like a black campaign. Like, they ain't having it. They checking everything.
Yeah, I agree.
And salute to this generation for that, for being cognizant and aware of those situations. I mean, that was the first thing that I saw too when I saw them. Like, that might not be the look. Don't you got people who tell you a little bit better now? Okay, but I don't know what the check looked like that you got, but
that's true too.
Let's I tell you what, let's round this out because we got a couple more topics. Appreciate all the commentary, appreciate the dialogue as well. But I'll end with this statement here from JP. The skin color is not enough to bring or implement change. The belief, values, and heart for our people is what we need, and whoever will agree to take the stand and fight, not just for us, but with us. I love that statement. That really sums up the whole thing. And we're not gonna make this happen tomorrow. Not gonna make it happen next season, the season afterwards, as regards to the NFL. But at least we having this dialogue. Hopefully, someone else is having the dialogue too. But Montel and I have seen where, look, we'll talk about it on Thursday night, and sure enough, Friday morning, somebody else is biting the statements that we say. So go ahead and do that, right? Have the conversation somewhere, because this needs to happen in more of a diverse circle as well. Yeah, we can talk about it amongst us, but we just need more people at the table having this conversation.
I'm gonna quote the great Tupac. We're the spark that makes change in somebody's. You know, the spark. We're the sparks in social. I think, and I'll stand by it. Yeah. I think we're the spark in social impact that sparks a change in somebody's thought process, and I'll stand behind that 100%, because, like you said, we're not just talking about the scores. We're not just talking about the athletes. We're talking about the impact it has on us and our communities and our youth.
Because it's a platform. It's a huge platform.
Yeah, our platform is there. So I mean, we're the spark, man, and I'm gonna keep speaking my truth, and I hope people challenge my truth. I want to learn just like everybody else, but I want to make sure that we also have some accountability.
We ain't playing with people. Charles Jackson came on Team No Sleep, and he didn't know he was gonna get into the midst of the fire, boy. Look, we don't play. So, but
drop right in the middle.
Right in the middle. I will mention a couple of scores now, though, just because I'm watching what's going on. Brady is doing what he does, and he's hurting them Eagles. So I feel sorry for you Philadelphia Eagles fans, because he's killing y'all 21-7 right now, and he don't even have Gronkowski with him. He just dropping bombs probably to Antonio Brown. Why is he?
Shout out to Antonio Brown, over 900 catches, quickest man to do it.
Just saying, I'm just what is it? 4? Yeah, I think. Well, even it's not even halftime yet. 21-7. Ooh. We'll get into baseball in a little bit, because we got a little local talent. We got a little local talent talking about our baseball. What? Tampa Bay? What you talking about? Right?
I'm in Tampa. You forget that?
No, I know where you are. It's late too, so we're not gonna keep you up too long.
Tampa Bay, man, Lightning, Bucks.
My city. They trying to do a little something out there. It's all good.
They try to do something on the far East Coast. Let's move over into basketball. Let's talk a little bit. Well, it's not just basketball, but basketball is the focus of this particular topic, and it's another social topic. Let's talk about the vaccine, right? Let's talk about primarily Kyrie Irving, because he is returning into the face of this situation for the fact that the Brooklyn Nets has said, Kyrie, you are no longer an active participant on the roster because you have chosen, and I say that word explicitly, the fact that you have chosen not to get the vaccine. So, there's a mandate in New York where if you're in a venue and if you're not vaccinated, you can't come in. He does not want to get the vaccine for personal issues, whatever they may be, and you have that right. You can do what you want to do with your body, but your employer is telling you that you cannot participate in league activities and you won't get paid by your employer if you don't go through these steps. He is coming out on social media talking about they against me. They don't understand me. I'm summarizing, but again, I'll also have the links to this statement and this story on ESPN where all the dialogue is going. But let me ask you guys, and I'll start with you, Montel, on this. What's your thoughts on this mandate from New York, this mandate from the NBA, and this fact that Kyrie has decided that, you know what, I'm going to forego this $380,000 per game check because I don't want to get this vaccine for whatever reasons that I may have it personally.
I think Kyrie's, you have every right. It's your choice in your body not to get vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. I commend you on that. You're following your beliefs. But what you're doing now is you're affecting your brothers, your teammates that you were supposed to be a part of. You're now affecting an organization that invested a lot in you when people were running away from you based on what you did in Boston. So someone that took the time to invest in you, sign you the big contract, says, hey, I want you to be a part of our team and do this thing so we can win championships and bring all this money and do all these other good things. You are not a part of that because of your ways. I'm not sure if he's fine. I'm not sure why he's not getting the vaccine. He never alludes to that. He just says it's my personal belief.
Yeah.
He never says it's a science or reason or, I'm worried or whatever. We don't know. He's such this mystery man when it comes to his comments and his statements. And even his release on Instagram was 25 minutes of nothing. What he was saying just said, it's my personal belief. I don't want to get the vaccine. It's kind of just, it's weird. I'm more of the stance. The times that we're in right now, and as deadly as this virus is, you need to be vaccinated. I come from the theory, if the government was going to get us, they would have already got us. At this point, everybody's got to get vaccinated in order to go back to work and do the things they're supposed to do. He's no different than our regular employees at our jobs. You have to be vaccinated in order to go into buildings, to complete your 9 to 5, to make a paycheck. Kyrie's not an exception to that just because he's a millionaire. It's unfortunate, though. I think he could do more if he did get vaccinated and use his money and his monetary to spread whatever message he's trying to spread a lot more effective than walking away or not participating in the games or choosing not to participate in the games because of that. I'm gonna look at it from the sports standpoint. I would be, if that was a guy that was on my team, I'd be really highly disappointed because we all know we're going into a season. We all have high aspirations. We're gonna do this. We got all the pieces. We're about to win. And then all of a sudden, we all got vaccinated. We're doing fine. We see our health is okay. Everybody's rolling. And then a guy that we were really dependent on, all of a sudden, for whatever reasons in the world, he decides not to. Yeah. He's not doing it. And he's staying by his stance. And now he's like trying to develop this cult. He's what do you say? He says the voice of the something. The voice of the not.
Yeah, I turned it off because like you said, he was going down a different path.
Yeah, he's the voice of the not heard or something like that. And I'm like, man, I just don't know where he's at, man. This thing, but I'm siding with the Nets. If you're not coming to work, I'm not paying you.
That's
you take a FMLA, you go on leave without pay and go do your thing. I'm all with that. Go do your thing until we can come to a complete resolution.
Until you can show me your vaccination card, you stay on.
You gonna just go on and leave it. I mean, no disrespect. I respect he has his own personal opinion, but you're not doing your team and the organization any justice at this point by not getting vaccinated. And if he gave me a reason why he wasn't getting vaccinated, maybe I would be more on Kyrie's side. Maybe I'd be like, okay, you know what? He's got some really valid points, but he hasn't shown us any valid points. Why not?
That's
so
true.
I'm not sure where to go with it with him.
So Charles, let me pose a different question to you, and then if you want to interject as well on this. So first and foremost, Montel, what you were saying exactly, right? You got the big three out there. You got Durant, you got Harden, and you wanted Kyrie. And that could have been phenomenal just from a fan's perspective to see that out there. And it's we're missing out because we don't get to see that. And those other two were expecting him as well. But something that you mentioned earlier, Charles, about this generation and kind of what Montel alluded to as well. Kyrie has a powerful voice with the youth, and he really could make a lot of noise if he did this a different way in a positive, in a positive perspective, right? Again, do what you want to do. If you don't want to get the vaccine, that's on your shoulders, and you have that choice, you have that right. But there are consequences to that. But I personally feel that there's a different approaching this because there's a lot of our youth that are looking at him and saying, Kyrie's not doing it. Why do I need to do it? I don't know.
Yeah.
So let me ask you that, because again, I want to bring in kind of that philosophical kind of aspect to it as well that you typically deal in.
Yeah, because he has a platform, what we would hope to see is there be, when you go into sports, you go into Hollywood, you go into rap, you usually, even though you do it because of the love, you understand it's going to give you a platform. And sometimes people want that. They want that platform. They know the notoriety, everything that comes along with it. And so when you accept it, I feel like you then should be very intentional about the things that you do and the message that you send out. And so if he has a clear message, because he's free, like you say, to do whatever it is that he wants to do. But what we're asking for somebody, who is in his position to consider those youths that are going to give a open ear to everything that he says and does, just to give some type of guidance. I'm not saying go get vaccinated because it's your job. I'm not saying go get vaccinated because you're going to let KD and Harden down, because I work for within the DoD space, and they're going to be putting out mandates soon that if you're going to work within the DoD space, you have to be vaccinated.
Yeah.
And people are going to have to make a choice.
Yep.
The person to my left or right might not be there anymore. Just because their job is sports don't mean that they can't make these very personal decisions. However, he has a platform. So then now I would ask that you be a little bit more intentional. Go and educate. Hey, well, these are the pros and cons to it. This is, why I wouldn't. This is why I would, and have those conversations. But then again, that may not be his nature. It may not be his nature to do so. That's my only type of thing is, when you accept that position, there is pressure to me to use that platform to positively impact people or to help educate people, because you are a voice. And right now, what's speaking is a whole bunch of indecision and a whole bunch of selfishness. And that might not be the case. So at least kind of clear that up so these young folks, have some good substance to hold on to be able to make a decision for themselves and not be following something that is kind of all over the place. That's the only thing that I would say in that regard.
Yeah. Tony's asking, do we think that he's doing this to get traded? And I think it's beyond that. I think it's beyond a trade. I think he, in my opinion, I think he knows he's in a good spot in terms of the team, the dynamics of the folks that's there. I do wish that he would say why. I would love for him to go ahead and fire up his phone, since he wants to be on Instagram for 30 minutes. I would love for him to put some context into why he's making this decision. That would help us to, as humans, not prejudge, not to question, what is. Look, you got to remember, Kyrie was the dude who said that the Earth was flat. So there's some challenges with your boy Irving. Just from that perspective, right? He thought the world was flat. So, and I think he was serious when he came out with that. So, again, I question just some of his mental capacity from that perspective. I would like to know why such a hesitation from this after all this time, right? He's got access. He can go call Fauci himself. Right, he's at that kind of he's got that kind of influence within society. He could pick up the phone and call expert scientists, physicians, and things like that, and have that one-on-one conversation and debate it back and forth. The three of us, we can't do that, but someone like a Kyrie Irving has the NBA behind him. He's got personal physicians, personal trainers. He's got folks who know folks. He's got people, right, who can have those types of. And I just wonder why he's not doing
One problem
that.
I do have, though, he hasn't given the why. And we kind of, feel like he owes us that. Just like we feel like when a celebrity mess up, we feel like they should come out and apologize. Like, Even like with Kurt Franklin, why Kurt Franklin got to apologize to us for, you don't owe me an apology, Kurt. But we felt like we demanded that. But anyway, that's a different story. But now what we're doing, and guys, I don't like divisiveness. So there's now anti-vaxxers versus the vaccinated. It's becoming a thing now.
Yeah.
And if you're not vaccinated, you're on this side and you have no regard for society and your fellow brother outside of religion, outside of medical reasons, just like not getting the flu shot, not getting the COVID vaccine, to me is a personal choice. But now people are being attacked for not doing it because we feel like the COVID is so deadly. Every person on earth should have it. If not, you're putting people at risk. And I just don't know if it's that cut and dry yet. I think we still need to allow people to process it because there is some unknown risk factors for later on down the line. We don't know them, right? And some people, they wholeheartedly believe that there might be. Some, they just kind of get on the bandwagon,
right.
Or you have those who are saying it's a conspiracy. The government is trying to kill black people, just like they did with the Tuskegee experiment, and that wasn't true. They withheld treatment from the Tuskegee guys. So we have to be educated on these things. I think we don't need to have this whole vaccinated, anti-vax. There's people around the world right now who have lost jobs because they didn't get vaccinated. They can't go shop at supermarkets.
Yep.
So now they're trying to find places to get food. If there's no online option for them, how do they get food? How do they go to the pharmacy? And because some places you got to have a vax card to walk into, right? And there's countries and people who are having issues right now. And so there's some implications with this whole getting vaccinated and not. And if we make it mandate that everybody does, people who choose not to, they're really in a tough spot. Going back to Kyrie, though, he hasn't given a clear cut why for us to really, really pick it apart to see if it to us makes sense or not.
But I think he does owe that to us because in some type of weird sense, we're paying that $380,000 per game. We the fan, even though it's coming from the ownership of the Nets, but the fans are the ones,
and viewings and all that.
He does owe it to his constituents. He owes it to the folks, and I'm thinking about the youth, right? He owes it to the youth who are looking at him, who want to buy his shoes, who want to go see his movies, who I want to be like Kyrie instead, those kind of things, right? And he really needs to have a wider dialogue about that. Go ahead, but look at
I'm listening. I'm listening.
No, you know what I'm doing. I'm stoking the fire. I'm stoking the fire.
You're trying to pile something on, but I'm
marinating.
Kyrie, if he was just to walk away and not say nothing, and just say I'm not going to play because of vaccination, and he left it at that, I would be okay because he made a personal choice that says, you know what, I'm walking away. I personally don't believe in it. I'm done. But he gives us this confusing conversation like on Instagram and makes these subliminal messages just talking about, I'm the voice of the anti-vax, or I'm this and this and that and blah, blah, blah. That's where we think he owes us an explanation. Like, come on, you're going to send these mixed messages and then you don't clarify it. Those are where it's at. I mean, Kyrie, like I said, personally, I don't care. If you choose not to get vaccinated, you don't want to play, that's on you. From the player standpoint. From the owner standpoint, I'm not paying you unless you play. I get it. I get both sides. I completely understand. I don't side with either one. I really don't. I like basketball. I would love to see him play because he's a talented player. He has a lot of influence on you. But, at some point, he's going to have to make a choice to walk away or not. I just don't like the non-clarity. I don't like the rhetoric in the middle, like this cloud he's painting. And he's painting himself as a victim almost. You know what I'm like I'm the one, you guys are wrong and I'm the one that's right. Yeah. Come on, man. Like, just give us some clarity why you don't want to do it.
But that's why I've always been the type to be very cautious about idolizing a person. So much so that what they do is going to influence and impact me that much.
Speak on that.
That I'm not thinking and acting on my own accord. I'm being influenced by this public figure or this, the person that I'm a fan of, and our children, we kind of allow them to go there. And I think we do it because it gives them something to aspire to in terms of what they're doing. But then everything that person now says becomes the gospel. Everything that they does, is acceptable and okay. And so there is the problem with some of the things that we are experiencing with these people, with these platforms, talking about platforms and the social impact again, that it has on us, especially on a young person, because children are the greatest imitators. That's why I hate, for one time, I stopped watching football. You guys remember, what was it, Ray Rice, I think, who hit his wife in the elevator. And then he was back in the NFL, and I stopped watching it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, wait, hold up. What message are we sending here? So I walked away from the NFL for a couple years after that, because I was processing that. Like, that's the platform, that's the social impact. Now it's okay. Now I get it. We all make mistakes, but on your job, your boss needs to handle your actions on and off the job better.
I agree.
To show that that's not. Yes, exactly.
For better or for worse, like it or not, your employer, the one who's cutting them checks, the one who you work for, until you own the team yourself, Mr. Irving, you do unfortunately need to fall in line and do what the policy says. Every one of us sign on the dotted line for a job description and all duties as necessary or as required, and we do things that we may not want to do all the time. But
or put in your 2 weeks,
or put in your 2 weeks, or
put in your 2 weeks, and not drag it out, not make it a big deal. Let's have some respect for the people, the fans, the game, your teammates in that regards. Do what you're gonna do. Don't drag it out. Don't make it a spectacle. Like, there's people, like I say, in the corporate space where I work, they're not going to adhere to that mandate by the DOD to get vaccinated. They're going to put in their 2 weeks, and that's fine. It's the same thing.
So it's unfortunate, man. But you got something you want to chime in real quick?
No. I'm 100%. I'm 1,000% in agreement with what he said.
Yeah,
you got to adhere to the policies, man. And if you don't, then you must suffer the consequences. I just think Kyrie, he's suffering from being rich privilege now. All of a sudden, he has enough money to make those decisions and to be real cloudy in his messages, because he knows at the end of the day, if he walks away from the league today, his family's not going to have to worry about a financial standpoint ever.
Exactly.
He's made enough money in the NBA, so he's coming. He has that in his corner pocket. I would love to see his perspective if he was on the corner, living paycheck to paycheck, and don't know how to pay rent. I think it'll be a different situation.
Speak on that.
See,
kind of like Wiggins. Y'all heard what Wiggins said.
That's
Andrew
why
Wiggins said it was like, it came down to a thing. It was get vaccinated and play ball, or don't and not play ball. Basically, is what he said. And so
pretty much. Look, if you love the game, and but that's exactly why I said that $380,000 per game figure, right? How many games in the season?
82.
82. I can't count that high. I need a calculator and a pencil and paper right there. But that's
TI 83.
That's every game, 380,000. So he's not hurting, but he should stop being selfish. And I really think he's being selfish. I think he should stop being selfish. Go ahead and go have the conversation, cognizant conversation about the why of him holding out on this. Let us understand that, and then he won't be subject to conversations like this. It's just deserved, because again, he is a servant to the people. Right, he's out there to he's an entertainer. We pay the tickets to go see him entertain. He's not out there. We're not gonna go watch the games because we wanted to see the big three. All we're gonna see is two. So there it is right there, man. We getting into it tonight. I'm supposed to go work out tonight. I need to give me a drink. Talk to me about. Did you guys watch the fight, Fury and Wilder?
Yeah. Yep.
Are we done with that? Are we? Is there going to be a 4?
I hope not.
I hope not. Because Tyson Fury knocked Wilder down all 3 fights.
Wow! I'm gonna get my boxing analyst on now. Wilder looked worse. He looked worse this fight than he did the second fight. He was out of shape. He looked like he was throwing for one punch hitters the whole fight, and Fury just kept taking him. I mean, he got knocked down once, but it shows us right now that I think Tyson Fury not only was the better fighter, but I thought also he was the bigger man. I'm more disappointed in Wilder, not wanting to be a sportsman, not wanting to shake his hand.
That's what I was going to talk about too. Yeah, talk about that.
Cheater, calling out. I mean, doing all this things. Man, you lost a fair fight. There was nothing wrong. There was no conspiracy to this third fight. You got knocked out pretty much from the 8th round all the way through the 11th. He was knocked out on your feet, but you was finished in the 11th and. Give the better man, at least boxing gestures. You give the better person his just due, congratulate him, and move on. He just showed that right there. That's just that unsportsmanlike talking about he didn't want to shake his hand. He wanted nothing to do with him.
Had no respect for him is what he was saying when Fury
no
actually was there trying
him.
to shake his hand. Yeah, that was horrible, brother. Yeah, that was horrible.
That's a cowardly move to me, and that's so unsportsmanlike conduct, and that's so unbecoming of someone that's a fan of the sport, man. Like that's part of the sport. Even even the roughest of the roughest in the in the UFC, when someone loses, they get up, they make sure they shake their hand afterwards. Yeah. It's what you're supposed to do, and this guy just didn't exemplify that. I think Wilder's career is over. I mean, he got his paydays. He got 3 of them. Move on.
3 of them.
Go do something else. Go be a bodyguard for the Snooty Tootie down the street.
Go be a bodyguard.
You can go do that. You know what I'm saying? If you want to continue that, but I'm saying as far as his boxing career over, I think it's over with. There's no one in the heavyweight division for him to compete with. And if he climbs the ladder, he have to fight this guy for a 4th time and lose again.
Yeah, that's not going to
So
happen.
what use is it? What's the use of it?
All I know is Fury was not done. He still had some energy, and afterwards he went raving at the club with Steve Aoki. Now that man, that's just ridiculous. Look, that don't make no sense.
That's what I was saying the whole time. First of all, the first fight, Wilder looked the best out of all 3 in terms of having a chance.
Yeah.
After that, kind of pound for pound, Fury was the superior fighter in 2 and 3 by a long shot to me, because strategy wise, Fury was just landing those jabs while Wilder was trying to throw that haymaker, like you say, to try and knock him out. In 2, he took that shot to the ear. And matter of fact, he took one in all 3 fights. But 2, he took one to the ear, and that was kind of his equilibrium off. And I felt like Fury tried to do the same thing in 3 because he caught him pretty good in the ear again. Like he got him good, and that was a factor. But Wilder was going for the body in the beginning, right? That was his strategy. After a while, he abandoned that and was trying to throw that haymaker. But Fury just kept putting that big body on him, man. And that mass wore him down. And afterwards, he had all of his energy. He's pumped.
He went to the club.
He's raving. He's at the club. He put on more pounds, but had more energy somehow.
Yeah.
Because Wilder just couldn't make him work. Wilder did not make Fury work at all.
Crazy.
In that last fight. Even though he hit him twice and he went down, but he didn't make him work.
Exactly. But did it look like, Wilder looks like a specimen, right? He looked like a specimen physically.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep. And you look at Fury, and he doesn't look like a specimen. But like you said during the fight, it looked like Wilder was out of shape and Fury was in shape.
For real.
Right.
Which was bizarre. Your eyes is playing tricks on you right at that point. Because it looks like this dude doesn't look like he's ripped, he's in shape, he's throwing, he looks real muscular, especially in the beginning. But by the 3rd round, he was gassed already.
Yeah.
He didn't been training for a UFC fight or something.
He didn't take the training seriously, right? He thought he was going to come in and go and wipe the floor with him, but strike 3, you out.
Yeah.
You out. So that's too bad, right? We wanted something to be a little more competitive, but yeah, Wilder I think is done. He's
You say he's gonna be like Rocky at the club at the gym carrying the spit buckets now. Mick say,
I think he's gonna be bodyguard right now. He's gonna go down and go bodyguard somewhere. He's gonna be bodyguard somewhere, man. But I mean, you know what? To a testament, I hope the brother put his money away. I hope he put his money away. He's set for life. I hope he does a good job. I mean, I just don't like the unsportsmanlike part of him, but otherwise, from that part, Wilder seems like he was a great champion. He was a great fighter. I mean, he seemed like he was a good guy. But this Fury thing just got him. He just got outboxed. Yeah,
he got outboxed.
It is what it is.
That's true.
It wasn't a matchup for him.
No.
It just wasn't a matchup for him. It's kind of that wasn't a match. He couldn't overcome that. That boy, when he knocked him out, I think it was the 2nd fight, and old boy pulled that Undertaker move where he's laying down and all of a sudden his eyes popped up and he got up like the Undertaker. I was like, this dude like the Undertaker from WWE, and got up, and that was like, whoa,
man.
Like normally you gotta like get that little thing.
Yeah, get some salts on you.
But no, he just
man. So
well.
But I do believe it was a great thing. It was a great event for boxing, right? It was a great event for boxing. It brought boxing kind of back to the limelight. I hope they follow it with more good fights and more high profile fights, because we don't never get to see them anymore. I don't want to see the old men fighting no more. I don't want to see the Tyson versus Holyfield no more. We passed that. Let's kind of get our interjection to the young generation of fighters, and hopefully we can kind of brings it was a decent fight. So I hope it brings back some more excitement to boxing, man.
Yeah.
Because me personally, I miss the sport. I do. I mean,
Me too.
UFC's
But
done
it
its thing,
goes
but I wish
back to
boxing
show
was
you
bigger.
that, like you were saying, the look is not about that look. It's not about that physique at the end of the day. You got to be strategically prepared for your opponent.
Mhm.
And I don't think Wilder was. Like when you think about a George Foreman, you think about somebody that's built like that. Like you can't just go in there trying to land a haymaker on those guys. Like you got to
Nope.
have a strategy.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I think he did. He, like you said, he was going to the
The
body
body,
first.
Yeah.
but he
started
couldn't
going to the
get in
body
there
first.
because of long arms.
Yeah, but when he got hit once, then he started just saying, you know what, I'm gonna just do my
Forget it.
thing.
He
I'm gonna just try
abandoned
to
the
knock him
strategy.
on
That's
out.
a good point. That's a good
And he
point.
just
Maybe he
abandoned
abandoned it.
he abandoned the strategy. I think for him it was like a discipline, and then I think he was just out of shape, man. I couldn't believe how fast he gassed out
Yeah.
from that boxing match. I mean, he gassed out like I believe the third round. His hands were already
Third,
down.
fourth round.
Yeah, his hands were already down. He abandoned the jab completely. There was no more jab.
Yeah.
It was I'm just winding him to try to knock him out.
Yeah.
You
I
sad.
boxed.
So,
Go to the
yeah.
boxing gym from time to time. And man, I'm gonna tell you, when you ain't in shape, a 3-minute round, them gloves feel so heavy. Like I'm against the wall sometimes. If I don't go on a regular basis,
Yeah.
like you just want to throw them gloves. You can't hold them up. Like you gotta be in shape for that
Gotta be.
sport.
I laugh at you said it because I laugh at people like, oh, boxing. I'm like, have you ever been in just a regular fight? If you fought somebody for 1 minute straight, everybody tired.
Yeah.
You're
Everybody
not making
tired.
a 1 minute straight fighting 1 minute straight.
That's true.
And these guys fight 3-minute rounds for 12 rounds.
For 12 rounds, yeah.
I just know people don't know how much energy you exhaust in that kind of combat.
Yeah.
Right.
But I mean, again, man, back for the event. I'm glad it was star-studded. I'm glad, like I said, I hope it brings boxing back to a whole nother light. Because me as a fan, I really do miss it. I really miss it.
Yep, I agree.
I love it. All right, let's go one last story, and then we'll close it out. And I'm trying to figure, should we talk about racing as a NASCAR, or do y'all want to talk about what's going on in baseball? I'll leave it up to you.
Go ahead, Mr. Jackson. You the guest. You go ahead. You tell me which subject you want.
Man, I'm from Daytona Beach, so I can talk about NASCAR, with Daytona 500 right there. But I love the Dodgers, LA Dodgers, only because of the history of the team.
Yeah.
And what's going on with that. We could do like Jacoby and what's in them do. Keep it moving or pause. That's what hit the brakes. We can keep it moving on NASCAR.
Okay. There you go.
Hit the brakes on baseball.
Well, right now it's 0-0, bottom of the fourth. I'm
Giants.
I'm cheering for a story, and Martel knows this, right? So yes, the Giants and the Dodgers right now. The Astros are in a good place right now with their coach Dusty Baker. Dusty Baker is from here. Dusty Baker used to coach the Giants. For the story, it would be so good for the game if the Giants made it to the pennant and end up playing against the Astros for the World Series. That would be such a great event to see and watch. And then all of my Northern California folks are going to hate me for saying this, even though I got more Giants gear than I care to count in my closet. I would love to see Dusty pull it out. Right, because Dusty still lives here, not too far from me, right? I can go to his winery, I can get some of his wine, I can chop it up. I've had dinner with him a couple of times. So there's that piece of it.
You right now, dude.
I know. I need to make sure that my alarm is on right now. Make sure nobody come to the house. Hopefully I didn't say that too loud. But I would love to see the story of the Giants against the Astros. But them Dodgers, man, they got some weapons out there, and they are still doing it. They're the reigning champions. I'm not sure is Kershaw pitching tonight, but if not, he needs to be, because this is one of them must-win type of situations. The Giants have their hotness on the mound right now. Logan Webb, who's also from my neck of the woods. So I'm in Roseville, and he's from Rockland, which is literally across the street from me, right where he went to high school. So there's some local love for that. But it's a good time, I think, for baseball and for fans of the sport, because it's exciting, right? Just to have these rivalries going, and when you got Boston's playing against Tampa, right?
When they played the Rays?
Yeah, right. Isn't that who's playing on the other side?
So no. So we have the San Francisco.
Don't make a liar out of me.
Rays are out. The Dodgers put the Rays out.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that. Then I
You wanted to
apologize.
say that, just like they did, like they beat us last year. Yes, you did want to say that. It's like 2 years in a row.
For saying that. God, we gonna move on.
Oh, what's his name? Did it again. Mookie Betts from the Dodgers. He did it to the Rays again. Even though that kid, rookie Arizonas for the Rays, man, setting all type of records, and it's just not enough for some reason. The Dodgers they got him. So I would like to see the Dodgers kind of do the back-to-back thing.
Okay.
Just because of the history of the team. I grew up in Daytona Beach, Jackie Robinson Stadium, 5 minutes from my house.
Okay.
Sanford right up the road where they would do some spring training and stuff back then. So that history with the team I like. But I like to play baseball a little bit. When you sit down and watch a game,
it's 3 hours, bro.
It's different. It's a different look. You got to go like extremely hungry or something, so you can just keep eating the whole time.
Yeah, peanuts and hot dogs. Tear your diet up, man. If you on,
or you got to go live, right? Or you got to go to the game live where you can kind of stay awake.
Yeah.
But otherwise,
right, and that's what I was getting to. That's what I was getting to. You know, when
baseball,
it's on TV, you bounce around channels and stuff, but going to a game,
I'm asleep on the couch on that plan. Catch me in the ninth inning. Let me just see the score. What happened?
You did not make it to the 7th inning stretch. You already knocked out. See, there you go. There you go.
That's ESPN. I just catch the highlights. Kind of like highlights is better than the game, man. So I'm good. I'm all right.
All right.
It's the base running for me, I think. Seeing how those guys, they get on base, able to steal base, able to run base. Because you got to think, majority of the people at bat, it's like a strikeout, or a hit that gets them out. It's not a lot of action from that.
But Dr. Jackson, when I'm amazed by that part. I'm amazed by the science, because 2-round objects hitting square is supposed to be physics impossible, but it happens in baseball
at 100 miles per hour.
Yeah, the amount of concentration you have. Baseball, I like. James always alluded to it. He likes the game within the game. I like that part of the game. You have the game, and then you have the duel between the pitcher and the hitter.
Yeah,
and the hitter.
Even though it's long and it takes a long time, I'm amazed when they do hit it, when they do connect, when they do hit those home runs. And I tell James, I love the golden era of baseball. What I call the golden era, at least in my time, is that home run derby with McGuire.
Sosa,
Ken Griffey Jr., Sosa, and Barry Bonds.
Justice Bonds.
Oh, man.
That was the best. I mean, baseball right there, I would watch, because that was so amazing how those guys were doing that and playing the game. Now that we've moved on from that because of whatever, because of all the allegations and everything, it's changed different. But I still get amazed by like the guys that can hit 40, 50 home runs a game, in the season. The guys that can do that. I just think that's just such an amazing thing. And I like the fact that people don't ever want to say it, but baseball is so diverse. It's probably one of the most diverse sports we got besides basketball. Basketball is predominantly African-American. Football is predominantly African-American with a little mixture. But baseball has, Hispanics or Latinos, however you want to say it. Sorry, I don't want to be culturally inappropriate. Afro-Latinos, white, black. They have such a mixture and such a cluster of it. It's just, it's a good thing, man. I haven't really been a big baseball fan because I don't like it's slow, but the things around it does have some really good features around that great sport.
Yep. No, man, that's true. And you got to think about those hitters. That ball coming 100 miles per hour, but they can dictate where they're gonna hit it in the field, left or right or center, or I need to hit it over here and or drop it. And I'm like, I go to the driving range and I'm hitting my hand on the ball. That ball ain't going but 25 miles per hour and it's whipping by me.
Yeah.
Think about your Dodgers, your man Pujols is still out there doing his thing, so and looking good while doing it too. So we will see. Maybe we'll have you back, sir, because Montel just mentioned about Barry Bonds, and we'll discuss why Bonds is not in the Hall of Fame. We'll discuss the asterisk, right? Is it the asterisk? Is it the alleged use of steroids, or is it something else underneath that? And I'm still trying to figure out about Pete Rose. I'm a Pete Rose fan. I really am.
Okay.
Like everything that he did for the game while playing the game matters. Now, he did some things outside of the game. He bet on whatever, but The greatest player who I named my first child after, Michael Jordan, did some things too, right? And right, Michael bet on a lot of stuff. He spent a lot of money doing whatever. He had some infidelity, right? So Michael did some things too that weren't as shiny. And we're not gonna talk madness about him, but someone like a Pete
You
Rose.
hater. I'm gonna call you a hater. Look at you drive, Michael. You hater.
So those are some conversations that I would like to have as well, man. But that's what we do. Charles Jackson, tell the folks again who you are, what it is that you do. Let me bring up this screen right here, because man, this man right here is doing some things. Charles Jackson Media.
Yeah, anytime you guys want to allow me to share the stage with you, man, I would be honored. I love the conversation. I love the just this dialogue, the banter, everything. It's great. I think it's good for us. It's good for people to see it, to hear it, chime in, or whatever. This is a great platform, and I love what you guys do on here. So
Appreciate
anytime. Again, I lead a consultancy, Charles Jackson Media. We're all about connecting people. And I just use media to do that. Live streaming, pre-recorded videos. That's what I do. So I try to help us all, get outside of ourselves to look at the human that is across from us in each interaction, whether it's on this live and the people in the comments, or when you go to work, or when you're at the grocery store, when you're pumping gas, wherever you're at, you're going to interact with a person. And just be conscious of how you interact with people. You never know what they're going through. You never know what you say might help them. That might send them over the edge. You never know what beliefs you're harboring that is incorrect about a particular race or gender or ethnicity or religion. I just like to help people connect. And so I teach corporations on leadership, development skills, and building cultures of connection. I also teach in schools, platforms for kids and how to connect. I got a talk called Race, RACE, and I kind of break down those. There's an acronym for it, and we break down race and in the schools. Do live streaming like I talked about, but it's ultimately everything is just all about connections and helping people have better relationships, man. And I'm fortunate enough to do it through the media background that I developed when me and my wife was leading our marriage and family organization, which we still have. You before me, we do marriage coaching and premarital coaching and stuff. And so that's kind of how it started. And I just fell in love with the media aspect of things. And then I started using the media to send this message of connecting, right? At the end of the day, we are all different. We look different, we act different, we have different opinions. I get it, but we're all one race. And so our differences shouldn't divide us. They should actually make us stronger. We should embrace them. We should lean into them, not shun them, not hate them. Just find ways to leverage them and embrace them. So that's what I'm all about. You can find me at charlesjackson.media. My site was just up. And on social, I'm at Charles Jackson Media. That's my IG handle. So thanks for having me, man. This was great. If I'm not on the show, I'm in the chats, and it's just an honor to be here, man.
Appreciate
I love you guys as brothers, and I love you as men who are helping others be better. Like, that's what you do, believe it or not. You're helping others be better because you make us think about both sides to these stories, whether it's sports or the social impact of it. So I appreciate that.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you as well. Martel, go ahead and take us out, brother. It's on you.
Hey, man, like I said, I'm going to quote the great Nipsey, man. It's a marathon. We all running the race, We ain't got to, it's not a sprint. It's just a marathon. We got to take our time and get there and strategically plan how we're going to finish. And I think that's what Dr. Jackson was talking about. I think that's what we talk about in the show. I think we're just trying to figure out the right way to get to the end in the right way. And I think we're a piece of that. We're stepping stone of that. So like you said, I really think I would love the compliment. I'm glad we, and I ended, like I said, man, 10 toes down, 6 feet above, brother. We always blessed when it comes to that. So
there it is. Y'all be good. We out. Appreciate that. That's good stuff, bro.